1 week.
So reported 1 week. Secretary Senate.
Business of President State. Communication from Senator Francis S. Dopo of Liberia County regarding the violation of the amended Chapter 85 of the Public Authorities Law of 1973, creating the Liberian Legislative Corporation and Executive Order number 123. The Liberian Senate. The President pro tempore and distinguished members of the Liberian Senate in special section. Capitol Building, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Honorable pro tempore and distinguished colleagues, greetings. My attention is drawn to the gross violation of the amended Chapter 85 of the Public Authorities Law of 1973, creating the Liberian Electricity Corporation and Executive Order number 123. Madam pro tempore, distinguished colleagues, in contrast to Section 9 of Executive Order number 123, which states, quote, non-tenured presidential appointees. Non-tenured presidential appointees shall be presumed to have resigned as of the date of inauguration. Accordingly, the most senior civil servants at all ministries, agencies, commissions, and state-owned enterprises shall act as officer in charge, pending the appointment of their successors, unquote. The former board chair and chief executive officer of the Liberia Electricity Corporation continues to hold office and operating as an appointed officer of the government since January 22, 2024. Whereas the head of the LEC is non-tenured position, and that said appointment was made by the previous regime of former President George Manuel Weah. Madam pro tempore and distinguished colleagues, the Executive Order number 123 was and is very clear, such that individuals under this category were assumed to have resigned as of January 22, 2024. The failure or refusal of these individuals to resign their posts is a violation of our laws and runs contrary to the statutes creating these entities. As such, I'm kindly requesting that this honorable body invite to this plenary Mr. Muni Arrow Captain to show cause why he has elected to be in breach of these laws. Madam pro tempore and distinguished colleagues, let me emphasize here that there should be no one so precious than the law. Neither should we employ a culture of cherry picking if we are determined to move our country forward. Let me also inform you that the law creating the Liberia Electricity Corporation in 1973 did not in any way provide for our utility corporations to be of tenure or be run by a self-imposed authority. To this end, I pray that the necessary corrective action be taken and the required consequences of violation be instituted by this honorable body. Best regards, Senator Francis Saidi Dopo II of Liberia County. Madam President pro tempore and presiding officer, the reading of the communication from Senator Dopo of Liberia County.
Distinguished colleagues, you have the reading of the communication from Senator Dopo. What is the will and pleasure? Senator Super.
Let me first thank the gentleman from Liberia for that communication to bring it to our attention the situation at the NC. At this point, I will request that you give the author a minute or two to explain further. And after which, this letter will be sent to the there's a man to report to us in about 1 week.
Come to the president job.
And a second.
Second.
Without the side, ready to vote. All in favor? Thank you. Author? 2 minutes.
Madam Pro Tem, distinguished Senator, the Public Authority Law of 1973 creating the Liberian legislative operation provides for the separation of functions. The board headed by the chair and the operating body headed by the chief executive officer. That law is not subject to any contract except ratified by the legislature. That is the law. We see that as a violation when the chair of the board is appointed to act, serving as chair of the board at the same time acting as CEO. Not being sufficient in that violation, this chair, who was acting as the CEO, chose not to resign after January 22nd, 2024, as required by the executive order. Executive order signed by President Weah indicated that as of the inauguration, all non-turning appointees are assumed to have resigned, and that the senior civil servant or public servant in that institution will assume to become known. That did not happen with the NC. I thought to bring that to attention. Not so surprising, and just it is not a shock to you, so the Committee of Electricity, the CEO acting as chair, the chair of the board, acting as CEO, who failed to resign, signed a contract up to himself, the value of $400,000 per annum. That is a violation. That is a conflict of interest. I thought to bring it to our attention. No one should be seen as a special person in this country. No one. Madam Pro Tem, distinguished Senator, this is something very important. Sometimes when you see an institution, it's not being run properly. With all this noise, they ought to start with information. The reason why you form a law to guard people on a responsibility is also to guard people in execution of their duty. How can the chair of the board act as CEO for more than 2 years? In the public eyes, he's been seen as acting CEO, but go with a contract that is not setting acting CEO and be paid $17,000 per month.
And $400,000 under like 13,000.
With other benefits. That's a contract.
Why is it issue now?
So, hello. It is very important, Madam Pro Tem, the secret body. It is very important because one, a law has been violated here. This position is not an NC, it's not a training position. And the law and the executive order says that anyone in such position ceases to exist in that position. And the CEO acting is still in a position with a contract awarded to himself, signed by the then Minister of Lands and Mines on the board, while he was still chair of the board. You don't see the violation of the conflict of interest. We have come to rescue and to help our people. And we start with the law first. If we don't want to make a change in this country, we don't want to enforce laws, in my mind, then we should not pass law here. The law creating that institution provides clearly that indeed the CEO should be appointed by the President and the consent of the Senate, and not for a contracting purpose. And especially when there is a clear violation that as acting CEO and was himself a contract. Dr. Protein, I give the floor and hoping that indeed my communication will be given due preference because it has to do with an institution that we all today are complaining about its performance. There are a lot of other issues that we can raise. However, we want to start with the legality and the efficiency of the institution. All right.
Thank you, Senator Dopo. I think that the motion was already made and the communication is sent to the committee to report office in their own.
Which committee? No. Which committee? There will be public operations.
So you have to do the motion. We asked for readiness information.
No.
There's an issue.
Everything
is a public accommodation. They should be reframed public accommodation.
So that's how we carry the relevant institutions coming.
Subject matter. Why you call subject matter? Why has subject matter there? Nothing has to do with matter.
The senator is asking, you're referring to a violation of the law, right? You're referring to a violation of the law, and what else?
Yeah, not the responsibility because they had and one himself a contract.
If it's in violation of the, if you're talking about violation of the law, then it's referred to judicial committee. All right, so.
Business of President's next. Communication from Senator Dominic H. Batukwa of Grand Crew County regarding the report of the Senate Joint Committee on Concessions and Investment and Labor on the assessment trip to setting ferrous fabric. The Liberian Senate. Madam Yobli Kaga Lawrence, President Pro Tempore of the Liberian Senate, in special section, Capitol Building, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Madam President Pro Tempore, the Liberian Senate. Reference, report of the Senate Joint Committee on Concession and Investment and Labor on an assessment trip to setting ferrous fabric. We have the honor to convey our compliments and here will submit to the Senate plenary a report on the assessment trip made to the setting ferrous fabric on March 15, 2024. Industrial Park, Ghana's Township, Monrovia County, upon the directive of the President Pro Tempore of the Liberian Senate, Senator Yobli Kaga Lawrence. The report, which is herewith attached, is self-explanatory and contains the assessment, mission, findings, and recommendations. Indeed, while we look forward to the Senate plenary's timely action endorsing the recommendations, please accept, Madam Pro Tem and distinguished colleagues, the sentiments of our highest esteem and best wishes. Kind regards, sincerely yours, Nominati H. Batukwa, Senator Grand Crew County and Chairman, Senate Committee on Concessions and Investment, and Chair of the Senate Joint Committee. Recommendation.
Committee report.
Recommendation.
Senator McGill, Senator Chair, there's a committee report on the floor.
Recommendation. After a thorough review of the entire operations of Seti Brothers Corporation,
Senator Taylor, Senator Toku.
including the company's level of adherence. Recommendation. After a thorough review of the entire operations of the Seti Brothers Corporation, including the company's level of adherence to the content of the investment incentive agreement signed with the government of Liberia, the Senate Joint Committee is pleased to make the following recommendations. 1. That Seti Ferret Fabric identifies, support, and work with a group of recognized Liberian businesses throughout the country to serve as distributors as a means of empowering other Liberians economically. 2. That Seti Ferret Fabric effect a slight reduction in the prices of all categories of steel rods in order to make commodity affordable and accessible. 3. That Seti Ferret Fabric provides on-the-job training opportunity to Liberians working at the factory in order to give Liberians the required technical capacity that will eventually enable Liberians to take over the technical and management services of the factory. 4. That Seti Ferret Fabric purchase an ambulance that will quickly convey any injured employee to the clinic for immediate treatment in case of accident. 5. That Seti Ferret Fabric provides adequate protective gear to the factory employees in order to save them from unforeseen incidences. 6. Considering that Seti Ferret Fabric has demonstrated its prepared capacity to provide sufficient steel rods for the Liberian market, the Liberian Senate prevails on the Ministry of Commerce and Industry to stop the issuance of import permits to businesses that will want to import steel rods into Liberia. 7. That Seti Ferret Fabric initiates and implements some social corporate responsibility programs in the community in which the factory is located. And 8. That the Liberian Senate requests the Minister of Finance and Development Planning to verify the tax payment regime of the Seti Ferret Fabric and report to the Senate on its verification exercise. Respectfully submitted for the Senate Committee on Concession and Investment, signed Senator Nathaniel Follow McGill, member. Senator Councilor Joseph K. Jala, member. Senator Sir H. Joseph, member. Senator Jonathan Bocha Sobe, member. Senator Boto Kane, member. And Chair, signed Senator Nominati H. Batukwa. For the Senate Committee on Labor, Senator Simeon B. Taylor, Chair. Senator Nathaniel Follow McGill, member. Senator Jonathan Bocha Sobe, member. And Senator Thomas Yaya Nimle, Chair. Sir. On labor.
That was a committee.
It came as a commission.
The Senate was there.
So how do we?
That's the committee report. Yeah, we have the entire report. So there's a committee, this is a committee report. You should have made that correction, observation, we were not in there. Okay, so you are not.
We saw communication, so we thought it was a communication. Right. But it really
Distinguished colleagues, you heard the reading of a report from the Committee on Concession. What is the word and pleasure? On the assessment tour to the certificate. Tell them.
Honorable Protein and colleagues, having listened to the working of the Joint Committee, I move, if I can obtain a second, that the report be open for discussion.
Second.
Already. They have been moved and seconded that the report be open for discussion. Are you ready to vote?
Already.
Senator Taylor?
Mr. Mover, I will be ready to vote. I will be ready to vote if you accept this amendment to the motion to the effect that it before be circulated, give us time to read it so that we can bring it up for debate or discussion subsequently Thursday or next Tuesday.
Senator Patrick, do we circulate a report? Do you have any report on that? Do you have any report on that? Step on the side street, any other relatives? Any other relatives?
But if we go ahead to vote, we'll hold on until we see the signing. Or we just make it awareness to the effect that we debate this issue on Thursday to give us time to read it.
So if he said to give us time and the Senate wants to vote on that fine.
Yeah.
But if he has the evidence, then he has a point.
Mr. Movement,
So if you want to vote, if you want to,
debate to Thursday so we can.
Mr. Movement, accept or reject? Do you accept or reject? Any other readiness? However, the motion to postpone the debate to Thursday until all senators have read the report. Are you ready to vote? All in favor say yea. Against? Secretary said it.
Look at, come to your office to look at it. Well, I was reading your office.
There's a question in the signature on the housekeeping, that's for housekeeping.
Communication from Senator Jennifer Walter Sobe of Rural County on burning issues that have to do with the livelihood of our youth and future generation. The Liberian Senate. Senator Yomli K. Lawrence, President for Tambora. The Liberian Senate Inspection Section. Capitol Building, Capitol Hill, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Madam President Pro Tempore and colleagues, I wish to bring to the attention of this plenary a very burning issue that has to do with the livelihood of our youth and future generation. The drug epidemic, especially the use of what is referred to as quote-unquote kush in Liberia has and continues to have a threat on the lives of our present and future generation, as there is a need, if we are serious to fight this epidemic, to most swiftly to give sustenance or subsidy to local organizations that are involved in remodeling the minds of our youth through rehabilitation. As lawmakers and leaders of our people, and with the call from the President of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Newman Boakai, referring to the drug epidemic as an, quote, existential threat, unquote, eating away at the future of our children and country, it behooves us at this time to give subsidy to our local non-governmental entities that are involved in the rehabilitation of our youth through budgetary appropriations. It is my fervent hope that my request will be granted so as to save the lives of our present and future generation from this epidemic that continues to damage this country. Kind regards, very truly yours, Jonathan Boychild Sobe, Senator, River G County. Madam President Pro Tempore and Presiding Officer. From Senator Boychild Sobe.
Distinguished colleagues, you heard a reading of a communication from Senator Sobe. How is your very pleasure? Senator Jim.
Presiding colleagues, let me say thank you first to my colleague from River G for lifting this issue of drugs in our community. I move that the communication proffered by Senator Sobe be referred to the committee on health, since it has to do with the matter of health, and the committee on ways, means, finance, and budget as a lead committee, since it has to do with subsidies. So moved.
It has been moved and seconded that this communication be sent to the committee on health and ways, means, and finance, right? Are you ready to vote? Senator Ho?
Opposing distinguished senator for the movement. I'll be ready to vote.
You're not allowed to speak.
You're not allowed to speak.
Go back to River G.
Go back to River G. I'm going to vote.
Senator Ho, go back to your seat. Any other readiness?
He expired. He expired. Already.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother and distinguished colleague. I'll be ready to vote to the movement if you allow that the opening of the communication set the tone, the meaning or two before send the committee room. I'll be ready to vote.
Move.
As a matter of procedure, yes, we will so accept and add that the committee reports in 1 week.
Thank you.
Pro-Tem colleagues, it is no secret that the issue of drugs is permeating the corridors of our society. This communication could not have come at a better time than when we are appropriating through budgetary allocations. There are few institutions that are not in the government that are functionary, but are catering to our young people, indigent, and trouble or at-risk youth. To try in our weak ways to put something aside as a subsidy to help them do what they are doing will not only go a long way, but it will also show that we care and that we can do something for our people. Let me tell you something. There's a place right opposite the 101 gas station on the Depot Road. I was just there a fortnight ago. There is this lady, protecting colleagues, who has her own place, and she's catering to these young people, and I mean real young people, able-bodied men. She's trying to bring them back and take them from the streets. I went over there and I almost shed tears on a serious note. And I'm saying people like these who are volunteering and making this thing a personal challenge to themselves, we can do something by helping them a little bit. And it is in this light that I'm appealing to us to make something available, however small, however infinitesimal, will go a long way for us. And so I thought to bring it to the plenary attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I think the motion was already made to send the communication to Health and Ways and Finance. Senator Senator.
Report from Standing Committee.
Unfinished business or standing committee? Let you follow.
Unfinished business. Report from the Committee on Public Accounts and Audits on the findings of the Auditor General's report on the special reconciliation audit of the consolidated fund account balance as of January 17, 2024 and January 19, 2024, which were read in previous sections and today for discussion. Discussion. It's for discussion. That's for discussion. Go for discussion. Plenary discussion. No, plenary discussion. It was read.
Which report that the question was asking?
On the audit report.
Oh,
Okay, Senator Connor.
Yeah.
There's no unfinished business.
Thank you, Program colleagues. About 3 months ago, we initiated this process based on the discrepancies between the balance in the consolidated account that was put by the former president and the new president. Plenary instructed the Public Account Committee to work with the General Auditing Commission to establish the actual reconciled balance, which the GAC has done. But in their reconciliation process, we also observed some potential violations in the management of public finance that includes potential violation of the Constitution in the manner in which the executive branch contracted $83 million from the central bank. The GAC alleges that the PFM law as well as the Central Bank Act were violated. Among other things, they talk about the management of stale checks, the management of transitory accounts, and so on and so forth. So this small audit protest that the plenary asked the PAC to work with the GAC to do uncover a lot of issues with our public financial management regime. So this report was submitted by the GAC, it's a board report. The Public Accounts Committee has summarized the report with recommendations to you and plenary for our next action, including public hearing into the audit report to establish the facts. Our colleagues, led by Senator Abbott here, suggested that we circulate the summary, which we have done by a week ago, and that, to give everybody the opportunity to read it and then discuss it today. That is why it is on the agenda. Thank you.
Current, so that report is on the agenda for debate, for discussion. Do we have the reports? Are we ready for debate? Senator Cheers? Yeah, it's open for debate.
We can still on.
Madam Pro Tem, English colleagues, let me use this opportunity for once more thank GAC for looking at the GAC report. I will speak on borrowing from the CBL with approval from the legislature. It is true that Article 4, Section D, 3I, says that all loans must be approved by the legislature. And there's a CBL Act that says that the board of directors can approve loans that will be given by the CBL. But in that act, there is no mention of getting approval from the legislature. Over the last 20 years, since the civil crisis, all governments, and emphasize all governments, have borrowed from the CBL without legislative approval. All the governments since the civil crisis. They are borrowed from the CBL without legislative approval. They have relied on only the CBL Act. So my suggestion would be that we review the CBL Act and enshrine in there that all borrowings, including overdrafts, because from the borrowings cleverly are being a form of overdraft, so you can't appear as borrowing. So, but we need to include that in the CBL Act so that there can't be any confusion. So, with the matter at bar, I would suggest that we disregard that violation, because you want to go to that violation, and you will be responsible for all government since the civil crisis. So we should enshrine in the Act, review the Act, amend the Act, and enshrine very clearly that before the Board of Governors approves any loan, they should seek legislative approval so there can't be any confusion. That's my view.
Senator Brown?
Thank you, Pro Tem. My intervention is purely procedural. I'm a member of this committee and I signed this report. And one of the recommendations in that report is that there should be hearing whereby the CBL will be confronted with the findings of the GAC. That's what is normally done. So my recommendation, instead of defending or condemning CBL, CBL first has to be confronted with the findings of the GSE at a public hearing or even at a committee hearing. So therefore where I'm going is procedural before we build this report as to the way forward. Firstly, this is a GSE report. And the law is that when GSE audits you and finds you liable for committing certain offenses, you are confronted. You are given the opportunity to defend. So CBL should be given the opportunity to defend themselves. This Senate, this plenary should not do that defense for the CBL, or should that be hastily saddled with the GSE. CBL should first be invited to face these charges, and based on their response, then the joint PSE committee writes both plenaries, and therefore the actual debate comes in. That's a procedure. That's what I want to do. And it's contained in our recommendations that CBL should be confronted with these allegations. That's my intervention for that. So what I'm saying, instead of doing this long debate, let's endorse the recommendations of the committee, the last one, that CBL should be invited at a public hearing to defend these charges. Thank you.
Senator Paul.
Madam Pro Tem, distinguished Senator, to just add and make my point on Senator Brown's position that this legislature, through the Africa Public Accounts Committee, the AFROPAC, elected to use the Westminster audit process, which requires that after the audit is done by the General Audit Commission, that audit report sent to the Public Accounts Committee, and then public hearing is conducted. For the last 7-8 years, we have followed the legislature, and my own being here, that is the procedure, and I think the legislature should continue in Africa best practice. The other point I want to raise is that it will be difficult at this time for us to allow Sleepy Dog lie on this matter. And the reason is that we have indicated that our revenue collected was below what was spent. 771 million was our 2023 budget. Now, if we spend more than what we collected, at this time we should be discussing why is it that in Liberia County, all of the health system did not receive the money. Why is it that in Maryland County, going to all over? So if we borrow $80 million and more what we budgeted, that can be swept on the carpet. We can leave that. People have been dying over the Kabbalah River. So we should stop, allow them to keep dying, and cannot put a vessel in. Because it's been happening for many, many years. We have to stop it. And we have to stop it by this case, because this case allows me in the sense that we cannot see where the money went. In terms of the budget, and we borrow on the budget. What did we borrow on? What do we use the money for? So all those things are part of the reasons why we should go into the process and then find a proper solution where there is conflict or misunderstanding in the law. But as late, that misunderstanding or conflict is affecting our people. So we have to find a solution. I give the floor.
Senator
Thank you. I'm a co-chair distinguished colleagues. I co-chair this committee, but I have a concern. It's the legislature that has appropriation powers. It's the legislature that has the power to borrow. If the legislature sit and allow the Minister of Foreign Finance to go anywhere and just take money from anybody, it becomes a problem. Unfortunately for us, or fortunately for us, it is central bank. But the central bank has declared they are autonomous. I don't see why the executive should not be held liable and responsible for this action. They have no business taking a penny with all the legislature. And I think this is where the chairman is coming, that we start to put pressure on the banks. Because they did not only they did it to central bank, the commercial banks. No regard or no respect for the legislature. Zero respect. And I think it's time now that we start putting check marks and check gates to borrowing by the executive, and they must come back to us because we vote on the budget. They are absorbing our powers. I believe that this budget process that is ongoing, we see a difference. Because as Chairman Moy will tell you, that we are planning on being very aggressive in our oversight responsibility. Especially on the revenue side, where you don't bring, right now we got the budget before us, we're looking at $114 million borrowing. Then you borrow $100 million. It will not happen with this legislature. They must come to us. So yes, while we are working on central bank, we also need to work on the executive. Also need to work on the executive because they are the ones that make the requests. So I do believe, good and distinguished colleague, that we have come to the point where all of us have interests. This is our country, and the citizens are depending on us. I don't know which one of the senators said, if this Senate can make a difference.
Senator Snow.
Senator Snow said,
So if you say the country,
then something is wrong.
Are you ready?
So I respectfully submit, it is not only holding central bank.
motion to extend. Motion to extend.
Motion to extend.
So let me just conclude, distinguished colleagues. It is not only holding central bank, because central bank was kind of say, well, we're autonomous, but it's also holding the Ministry of Finance and Budget to ensure that going forward, it must appear before us before they can borrow a penny. Thank you.
Senator Patikwa.
Madam President, my concern that I was, the PSC have done very well, but I contain in the report wherever an audit is conducted, the person that is being audited, those findings must be confronted with their person. And that's the point I wanted to strike off. My police expected already. I didn't say anything before. Thank you.
Senator Tyler.
Basically, I got what I said, we mentioned the whole procedure. And we already debated, the issues in the report. I'm trying to go to the committee and invite the GAC and the central bank thereafter. Will come and find out the chair thereafter will come and debate. So we'll be there already. The debate is a little bit pushed out to the floor already. So that's why I'm going to do this.
There was a motion to debate, and you all voted on that motion. So,
Yeah, so can we inquire?
So,
Can we inquire?
yeah.
Thank you, Protect the Civil College. The PSC was given a mandate to probe into the audit report as presented by the GAC. And as senators are aware, or members of this parliament are aware, when the GAC submits a report and it's being investigated, the auditees have to be part of that investigation. So I'd like to know from the chairman as to whether during the course of their investigation, the auditees were part of this process. If they were not part of the process, then I think we have to complete the process. They have to be contacted. If they were part of the process, well, where their responses? Because what is happening is that it may appear that some of these auditees were not contacted, so they had to contact individual members of the Senate to give his historical profile of what has been transpiring at the Central Bank in terms of government operations. And I think that's why the former pro tem alluded to. It's the same. Former pro tem.
I'm retired. When you get a job and you want to give it, you marry to. When you marry, I was still married to you.
Are you to my kid? Are you to my kid? So we like to get some clarification from the chairman of the committee. If no,
I think that clarification was made because there's a member on the committee, Senator Palm, who said that they have not had any hearing with GSC. But there are recommendations in the report that even the Senate can look at, because some of the recommendations were already made publicly, especially from the pro tem emeritus. We voted to open this for debate, and we didn't make those adjustments, so I think we should close on the debate, and then the motion will determine where we'll be needed to. So with that, we will ask the next person on the floor is Senator John.
Thank you, Mr. President. Concomitant with concomitant with Speaker Nokwe and Senior Senator Professor Pubert Chair, President Emeritus. Fellow colleagues, is that most times our police are alleging violations of the law. And also, they're talking about audit. Who was audited? Is it the central bank or the executive? Under the former president and former minister of finance. On a simple information as to how much money we have in the account. Now, it's now going to constitutional violation. So, this is a matter that people are suggesting that it would require an expert to first interpret the laws reportedly violated, seemingly violated. Because somebody is saying, even the approval you're talking about is inherent in the approval of the budget process. If we approve the budget, and people have to be paid on that approval, then what is the violation? So it would, this can be a whole year debate. This can be a whole year debate. So For me, I believe that we need to let sleeping dog lie in certain cases. Because the very violation that is being alleged by Senator Connor, he was Minister of Finance, but they borrowing from Central Bank. Yes. Yeah, they tell me before someone control happened. Yeah, they tell me. Yeah, they tell me. That in law there's something no. In law there is something called. There is something called stereo decisive. There is something called stereo decisive, which is a precedent. The Liberian Pilot government established a precedent of borrowing without legislative approval from 2006, since the Civil War. Yeah, the table of borrowing is there. There's the table there. So for me, it is good to point people wrong. But there was an audit. There was not a statement that was audited. Because under the IK7, GSC cannot audit Central Bank. That's the first thing. So the audit was for the consolidated account. All right? Very important point. You see? First of all, it's a different thing. When you see GSC going to Central Bank, that means we're going to check with Central Bank or Ministry of Finance revenues and collections. That's where they come in. But this is not an audit on the Central Bank. It's an audit on the past administration. Are we going to go like this? Whenever time we change government, they will go after each other. Fine, we can do that. But it should be systematic. It should be systematic. So I believe that their report by the very author who violated this very law before. Yes, from 2006, the book, from 2006, from 2006, the Liberian government has been borrowing without coming to the legislature on budget issue. So that is my summation.
Make it right.
It's a prisoner is allowed in law. The law is permissible, yes. That's the prisoner. So, if they want to go on the debate, it's fine. But we must reach to the better ahead. This is my summation that this audit is not on the central bank. It's on the Ministry of Finance. The audit is on the Ministry of Finance. So if you want to bring something to ahead, that's fine. It's okay. So I rest on the opening.
I think Senator Brown made some points that I agree with. We do not condemn, nor shall we defend until the proper thing is done. Very simple. I just want to state that precedent is not when wrong is done and not corrected means it is the good thing to rely on to do wrong.
No, not at all.
The Constitution says no loan, any loan in the name of the Republic or the government must be authorized by the legislature. If the UP led government on any Johnson Sirleaf, while former finance minister Amara Kone was minister, and they took loan without the express authority of the legislature, and nothing was done. It was wrong, and it simply said that the legislature then was just powerless. Now that we know this wrong, we cannot rely on the old wrong and justify it and allow the wrong to perpetrate. So this legislature was too different from the 5010 legislature, and if it applies similarly to the 54th, the 55th was too different. This legislature has no constitutional legal authority to pardon violation of the law. Let's make it clear. This Senate, they both horses together. It is not within our province to pardon violation of the law, especially violation of the Constitution. When a public official or a public entity takes loan in the name of the government, representing the government and the people of Liberia, it is a violation of Article 34D3R.
Is it good?
Yeah, I learned from him. Yeah, I learned. So, yeah, that one did. And you know, and that's why I'm grooming others to take over from me as I'm taking over from these people who are charged. It's good to groom when you were groomed to. But back to the issue. My brother, I don't think we should take this. I don't think we should take this issue lightly. Sorry. If the 3 million, that's more money. We need to know the source of authority, the accountability of that money, especially the time that money was quote unquote loan or borrowed. It must concern us. So I agree with Senator Brown. We should not condemn, but we should not justify. Let's do the proper thing. Let Central Bank can speak for itself. Before the committee in a hearing, not necessarily plenary before plenary, because the committee will have to report to plenary. I just wanted to correct that. All of us, precedents, stereo disasters, as a lawyer who calls it a Latin word. When somebody killed yesterday, and killing a crime, but nothing happened to that person who killed, it is not a reliance for somebody to kill and say, well, any other person killed yesterday and nothing happened. If killing was a crime and somebody killed and nothing happened to that person who killed, it is not a precedent to rely upon. Is that what it So yes.
Prince Johnson. Senator Bala.
From where?
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, distinguished colleagues. And thank you to the PAC of which I'm a member. I just wanted to add to my colleagues that we convened here on January 15th as a 55th legislature. And we each were asked, each of us was asked to provide our experience through the campaign. And every one of us spoke in similar manner, identifying the same issues. We as senators are responsible to make appropriation. And we all know from the experiences shared that there were huge shortages in the community when it comes to healthcare delivery, when it comes to education, when it comes to road and other key human development areas. The budget approved, we didn't receive shortfall, and then they were borrowing in addition. Yet the money did not reach our people. I joined the rescue mission and campaigned for the rescue mission because we agreed that business will not be as usual. And the Senate further confirmed that. So on the issue about the recommendation that the audit report should be taken and confront the Central Bank of Liberia. If the audit trail provide that Minister Amara Kone, Minister Tuel, who just left the ministry, and someone even before Amara Kone, should come before the Senate and answer. So some illegal activities, I think we should proceed with that. There are processes in handling the audit report and calling the auditees in by the Senate. Let us go to that. We cannot continue business as usual. The Liberian people voted us because they believe that we're going to bring some of these issues to stop. But if we sit here and say because it happened yesterday and nothing happened, so we should continue in that line, it will continue unabated. So my dear distinguished colleagues, I think we should follow the proper process and bring the issue to conclusion by inviting the auditees, let them be confronted. Thank you, I yield. Thank you, Senator Collins. I think the last person, anybody else? Okay, Senator Collins and Senator Smooth.
Thank you, Madam President. I did not conduct the audit. The first letter that went to Central Bank was co-signed by myself and Senator Jala as the chairperson of the banking committee. I'm just providing information. I'm not responding to him. With the two committees initiated this process and got the response, the bank statement from the central bank, which was bulky. He said he couldn't read it. I read it and shared the report with this plenary. The further action instructed by this plenary was to get the GAC involved to establish the balance of the consolidated account at the central bank. It is during that reconciliation that they found these anomalies. And the report is here. I think the secretary has it. They sent one big report and also on CD-ROM drive for the senators. As chair of the PAC committee, with the support of my colleague, this summary before you is a summary of that report, not an audit that was conducted by me or authored by me. So this is a GAC or the report that our committee summarized for this plenary.
That was requested
by the plenary. So dear colleagues, the auditees' responses are in there. It is the GAC's findings about this. Whether as Minister of Finance I borrow or not, I'm prepared to answer that and show documents when necessary. But I don't recall in conclusion that the president under whom I serve ever wrote the central bank through her Minister of State and Chief of Staff asking the bank to work with the Ministry of Finance to pay for civil servants' salaries, which the wage bill is around 34 million. By right, if we are to speak on principle, without politics, that loan should have been 34 million, not 83 million. But that's a whole different thing that I did not go into because according to them, let's make it up lie. But it would be good to have a hearing, at least in the hearing, to understand how this 83 million, which is 3 times above what the President Chief of Staff wrote in his letter to address the payment of civil servants to avoid security issues. We need to understand how the money was spent in 2 months. This is not an overdraft that is accumulated not through contractual agreements. When the government writes checks and commitments are made, and the checks are in the pipeline to the central bank is under obligation to honor those checks. Even when the consolidated amount does not have that. That's an overdraft as it is in overdrafts in our personal accounts, in our personal banking transactions. But when a letter is written to the central bank asking it to negotiate a loan to pay civil servants to avert security crisis, to avert bad Christmas, I think that is a request for a loan that should be contracted consistent with law. That's what I wanted to say.
Overdraft is borrowing. There's no question. You're trying to. You take overdraft without authorized representative, you are as guilty as well.
If the overdraft, if you read a check, if you read a check to a customer, no, my brother, listen to me. It's not a borrowing.
It's not borrowing.
It's not borrowing.
No, it's borrowing.
It's not borrowing.
Overdraft is still borrowing.
We'll be the expert.
Overdraft is
we'll be the expert.
Thank you, Porter.
We'll be the expert. The hotel is boring.
I think the issue, what are the issue there? What are the issue there should be separated? Like Porter America said, every government sent the law and borrow from the central bank. I don't have an issue with that. But what's the intent? What bring you in? What bring you in? What's the intent, Porter? If the Minister of State go by directive of the President and say to address security issues, paying civil servants, that's an action of a responsible government. But if your wage bill is 32 million and we're today talking about 80 million, then what transfer American in this community or the post handlers are saying. So we shouldn't dilute the issue by saying overdraft, borrowing, or goal approval, legislative approval. No. I mean, we are not talking about 10% more of the wage bill. We're talking about times 3, almost times 3 of it. So, I think we need to really have an inquiry on this matter. Let's see what happens. If the letter from the Minister of State said the money was to pay a wage bill, then let's see what the wage bill was. The assets money that was taken from the central bank, let the auditor investigate it. And those responsible put them to report to court. This is about the country, this is about all of us, and I think we should be fair in all regards.
The final would not entertain a motion. I think the issue here is the main issue is the legislature's role when it comes to borrowing from the central bank. And when it comes to borrowing, and it's something that we need to look at as a Senate. We don't need a joint PAC. So it's important to have the central bank here to continue the discussion and make some recommendations that the Senate can also act on when it comes to the amendment or giving further instructions. With that, we can get a motion from the floor. Senator Finlay.
Madam Pro Tem, distinguished colleague, I move that all recommendations in this report be executed to the letter. Am I right? You want to do my motion? Of course. What motion? It's vague.
The motion is there.
It's vague. It's vague. Let me repeat the motion. I move, Madam Pro Tem, distinguished colleagues, that all recommendations in this report from PAC be executed to the letter.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that all recommendations in the report be endorsed. Are you ready to vote? Already led by Senator Zeno.
I'll be ready to vote if the movement will accept this amendment to the effect that we need to know what are the recommendations.
Okay, ready?
The recommendation for
to assume that people know it wrong. The motion here, all recommendations be implemented. What are the recommendations?
That's contained in the report.
What is the report?
The report was circulated.
You are not
I reject.
all right, with the already clear, I think the other concern is to have the central bank come in as was recommended by other senators.
That's a procedure. We can bring them here.
All right, so with that unreadiness, clear, are you ready to vote or restate the motion? All in favor say yea. Confirmation report.
Water wash. Yeah.
All right, so I will do the LC report.
What commission?
Is that BNC?
Yeah.
BNC?
Yeah. See,
Be that tell you? What commission?
what commission is pending?
Unfinished business. Report from the Joint Committee on Public Corporations, Lands, Mines, Energy, Natural Resources, Environment. The public hearing held with officials of the Liberian Legislative Corporation in the Liberia Legislative Regulatory Commission as regard to complaint filed by Senator Amara Cornell of Babur County against massive low power shedding of the legislative by the LEC. Unfinished business. Recommendation. The Joint Committee is pleased to submit the following recommendations to the plenary of the Liberian Senate after having conducted its probe. 1. That the issue of privatization of the energy sector be taken as a priority issue by stakeholders involved. 2. That the LEC consider the issue of providing meters to customers who are desirous of acquiring meters. 3. That certain percentage on the sale of electricity be set aside in an escrow account for the servicing of LEC debt. 4. That other energy providers be encouraged to invest in the sector so as to do away with the current monopoly in the sector. 5. That LEC strengthen our public relations so as to engage in the provision of routine awareness to her customers. And 6, the LEC should provide prepaid meters to all government offices. Respectfully submitted, the Committee on Public Corporations and Lands, Mines, Energy, and Natural Resources. Madam President Pro Tempore, and Presiding Officer.
Distinguished colleagues, you've heard the reading of the report from the Land, Mines, and Energy Committee. What is your will and pleasure? Senator Boyd.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President Pro Tempore of the Liberian Senate, distinguished senators. Having listened to a report from the Committee on Public Corporations, Lands, Mines, Energy, and Natural Resources, and the Environment, on a public hearing here with officials of the Liberia Electricity Corporation and the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission, as regards the complaint filed by our distinguished Senator Babolo County, I move, if I can obtain a second, that the report just read be received, all of the recommendations. Okay, so where are we? That the report made be endorsed in its totality. If I can receive a second.
Yes, our committee report. They have a lot to do.
Okay, so let me come back. Let me come back. Let me come back. Move if I can obtain a second. The ombudsman. That the report just read be open for discussion. If I can obtain a second.
Upon the arrival of someone with a report just read, people for discussion, are you ready to vote? Already led by Senator Batikwa to the family.
I'll be ready.
Yeah, man.
If the report be distributed and listed on our next agenda for discussion.
So the records are here. The report was distributed. Would you have checked the record? It's in your office. Senator Finley already has.
I will respectfully request the movement to please accept my amendment that we have the debate on Thursday instead of today. Due to the movement, I see you finding yourself.
I accept.
Alright, so this is a very important debate. Do we agree that we should refer to Thursday?
Yeah.
All in favor say yea.
The message is very hard.
Alright, for confirmation.
Briefing from the Ad Hoc Committee on Executive Order 126, Office of Assets Recovery. Briefing.
We will have a briefing next week. As all of you are aware, this matter was taken at the Supreme Court. So the committee could not invite all those that we needed to invite. So I think the issue is out of the court now. So we're planning to move ahead with hearings. So by next week, we'll do some briefing.
That's for Tuesday.
So Thursday, please.
Next week Thursday?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the confirmation hearing, we'll put a vote on B. We'll put a vote on B for the Rights Commission to verify on the issue of tenure. For the rest, we allow the Secretary of Senate to vote. The rest? The Secretary of the Senate will put a vote on B to verify tenure. We already have a vote on D, E, F, G, H, and I.
Yeah.
So until that report is fully completed. So we will listen to the confirmation report for C and J. This confirmation. K, R, K, L, and M. Yeah.
Report from steering committees.
C, confirmation report on C, J, K, L, and M.
Out. Almost sound like initial. Out?
No.
C.
C
Report.
again.
C and M. So B is out.
B is out.
Only C and M.
Okay. Recommendation.
The Committee on Autonomous Commission Agencies. Confirmation hearing on Honorable Gabriel N. Doma, Deputy Director for Administration, Center for National Document and Records Agency. Report from the Committee on Internal Affairs, Governance and Reconciliation on the continuation of confirmation hearing for assistant ministers and local government. And local government officials designated on political divisions. Subdivisions.
report is it?
The Minister of Internal Affairs, Republic of Liberia.
And
Yeah, but I already let me go into those other reports.
But I put J does not carry anybody, so who are we conforming on J? That the observation will make me
Recommendation for J.
J shall we make
J has a local government list. Internal Affairs can
report from the Committee on Internal Affairs.
I report that, you know. But it's a continuation of. I don't prepare
the report is here to record the list. Secretary Senate, go ahead.
The nominees are D. Emmanuel Weyu, Assistant Minister Designate for Research and Development Planning of the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Sterling N. Brima, Assistant Minister Designate for Communal Farming. Lucia K. Tappet, Development Superintendent Designate of Mossoraro County. Davidson Bali, Development Superintendent Designate for Grand Julia County. Fred Hino Pato, Development Superintendent Designate for Maryland County. Alfred B. S. Zina, Development Superintendent Designate for Bomi County. Francis Igu Lasana, Development Superintendent Designate for Lufa County. Joe Momo Sekwe, Development Superintendent Designate for Grand Crew County. Alex David Hine, Development Superintendent Designate for River G County. J. Wuse Nyeka, Fiscal Superintendent Designate for Sano County. Evelyn Dwight Washington, Fiscal Superintendent Designate for River G County. Henry C. Zongwe, County Administrative Officer Designate for Grand Julia County. A. Yinetie, County Administrative Officer Designate for Grand Crew County. Abraham B. Jackson, Mayor Designate for Harper City, Maryland County. Harrison O. Kai, Major Designate for Greenville City, Sano County. Rita Kaid Masakwe, Major Designate of Zwedru City, Grand Julia County. Larry G. Giko, Major Designate of Cleveland City, Maryland County. Lucine Ducle, Commissioner Designate of Fort Body District, Lofa County. Prince B. Marshall, Commissioner Designate of Sinje District, Bomi County. To be confirmed as officials of the government of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Republic of Liberia. During committee room on this 16th day of April. Signed, members of the Senate Committee on Internal Affairs, Governance and Reconciliation. Report from the Committee on Posts and Telecommunications. On the confirmation hearing of Honorable Nicholas N. Johnson, Assistant Minister for Technical Services Designate of the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications. Committee's recommendation. Pray this plenary for the confirmation of the nominee. Report from the Committee on Posts and Telecommunications on the confirmation hearing of Honorable Emmanuel Fred, Assistant Minister for Operations. Committee's recommendation to be confirmed. Report from the Committee on Posts and Telecommunications on the confirmation hearing of Honorable S. Mohammed Masale, Deputy Minister for Technical Services Designate, Minister of Posts and Telecommunications. Committee's recommendation to be confirmed. Madam Pro Tempore and Presiding Officer, the reading of the report of confirmation.
Give me away, man. I'm checking you anyway. Come on.
Alright, so we put a hold on the city mayor assignment for further discussion.
Now, what you ready?
So, Secretary, please call the roll. vote for the vote. We have no report on the. There's nothing else.
They let you call Stevenson Direction. You call Stevenson Maryland. Fiscal Affairs Superintendent. Stevenson Direction. Okay, Stevenson Direction. Here, but no, say Stevenson Doe.
So, the civil police for confirmation you are voting for. For confirmation you are voting for C. J. J excluding the city mayor from Sino. K. L and M.
I would do it.
Councilor County. Senator Sahali Joseph.
Yes.
Which one?
No, Jay is not in that with four.
Senator Ibrahim Dawes Delon. Grand Bassa County.
So, before we start the vote, we'll go over this again for local government briefly. What are local government?
Local government. Lucia K. Tappet, Development Superintendent Designate for Mossorado County. Dilson Bali, Development Superintendent Designate for Grand Julia County. Fred Hinabato, Development Superintendent Designate for Maryland County. Alfred B.S. Zina, Development Superintendent Designate for Bombay County. Francis Ibu Lasana, Development Superintendent Designate for Lufa County. Joe Momo Sekpe, Development Superintendent Designate for Grand Crew County. Alex W. Hina, Development Superintendent Designate for River G County. J. Hussein Nyekan, Fiscal Superintendent Designate of Sano County. Evelyn Duell Washington, Fiscal Superintendent Designate of River G County. Stevenson Duell, Fiscal Superintendent of Maryland County. Henry C. Zoe, County Administrative Officer Designate for Grand Julia County. A. Nyentia, County Administrative Officer Designate for Grand Crew County. Abraham B. Jackson, Mayor Designate for Harper City, Maryland County. Harrison O. Kai, Mayor Designate for Greenville City, Sano County. Rita Kai Massaquoi, Mayor Designate for Zouadou City, Grand Julia County. Larry G. Jacob, Mayor Designate of Cleveland City, Maryland County. Lucille Duque, Commissioner Designate of Kwadu Bondi District, Lufa County. Prince B. Marshall, Commissioner Designate of St. J. District, Bombay County.
After speaking,
And the assistant ministers are D. Manuel Wenyu, Assistant Minister Designate for Research and Development Planning. And Sterling N. Bryman, Assistant Minister Designate for Communal Farming.
Yeah. Look at that issue? Yes.
Mossorado County.
The program told you to hold that law, you call it again.
All right, we'll put our except we'll put our whole on the fire and sign those things. Please call the roll.
Senator Sahari Joseph.
Yes.
Senator Ibrahim Daras Delon.
Yes.
Grand Bassa County. Senator Basanga and Finley.
Yes to internal affairs. Yes to J. Yes to K. Special yes to L. And yes to M.
Sando County. Senator Councilor Ngozi S. Chip.
They're calling you. Say yes to all.
Yes to all. Yes to all. Yes to all. I find my senior. Yes to all. Thank you.
Liberian County. Senator Jerry Neville Brown.
Yes.
Senator James P. Downey. Grand Kidman County. Senator Simeon Wyman Taylor.
Yes to all.
Senator Deba Mabani Kabla.
Yes.
Bon County. Senator Prince Kemon Mui.
Yes.
Senator Johnny K. Bailey. Nima County. Senator Prince Watt Johnson.
Yes.
Grand Jeff County. Senator Zoe Arapel. Senator Thomas Yaya Milne. Lofa County. Senator Councilor Joseph K. Jala. Senator Monty Saros.
Yes.
Bobby County. Senator Edwin Melvin Snow Jr. Senator J. Ellis Tyler. Mike B. County. Senator Anthony James Emmanuel Newport.
Yes to all.
Senator Nathaniel F. McGill. Rosses County. Senator Wellington G. Long Smith. Senator Bill T.S. Twelve. Grandview County. Senator Professor Abbott Betchip. Senator Limu T.H. Patikwa.
TH.
Rural G County. Senator Benito Boatras Subway. Senator Francis S. Doku II. Barbaro County. Senator Bodo County. Senator Amara M. Coney. Madam President, distinguished senators, 22 voted yes and no abstention, so the vote is unanimous.
Distinguished colleagues, nominees hereby confirmed Senator NLP act accordingly. Motion to adjourn.